Restless is a spy novel. The book began with the idea I had of what would it be like if one day you found out that one of your parents had been a spy in the war. And so we have the story of Ruth, the daughter, in the 70s, and the story of Ava, her mother, in the 40s, and the two storylines eventually blend together to bring about closure to Ava's life as a spy. Ava Delektorskaya, she's a Russian emigre, attractive, multilingual, and she's spotted and recruited by this man, Lucas Roma, who's a spy master in the British Secret Service. He trains her, and he has these very clear rules of behavior, but the main rule is don't trust anyone, rule number one. And the thing that Ava is good at is throwing people off the scent, and she does things like go into buildings, but when she comes out the other entrance, she's wearing a headscarf, and she actually becomes a very efficient spy. And then something terrible happens to her, and she has to run for her life, literally. And she's still running 30 years later. I came across a forgotten corner of World War II history. In May 1940, Churchill became Prime Minister. Britain was alone against Nazi Germany, and he made it his absolute priority. He said this to his son: the first and only thing I have to do is get the United States in on our side. So Churchill set up this organization called British Security Coordination, a little office in the Rockefeller Center in Manhattan, which was really manipulating the US media to try and persuade America that it was a good idea to join the war in Europe. And they were fantastically successful. They penetrated newspapers, radio stations, press agencies, and were able, almost at will, to put any story they wanted in the US media that was pro-British, pro-joining the war, anti-neutrality. So I thought immediately, Ava is going to do her spying in the USA. Would it have worked? We'll never know, because Pearl Harbor happened, and his mission, if you like, had been achieved for him by the Japanese. The thing about the spy novel is that it's about lying, duplicity, betrayal, and also the idea of where do our lives as ordinary people touch the life of the spy. And I think it's in this idea of restlessness, that the spy is always terrified or worried or restless because of the fact that she or he might be exposed, might be caught. And I think that feeling, and it's something that Ruth senses at the end of the novel, and she looks at her mother, who's still worried, still thinks somebody's watching her. And she says, you don't need to be a spy to feel like that. And it's very true. We have a restlessness in our own lives as well. We know there's a ticking clock, and one day somebody's going to come and tap us on the shoulder and say, time's up.